Thanks, Carol. Doctors say that electronic cigarettes could be a big step forward in helping people to stop smoking. Research suggests that they are as effective as nicotine patches in helping people quit the habit.
Well, more and more people are now using the devices. Recent figures show that around 1.3 million people in the UK use them as a way of avoiding tobacco, while still feeling as though they are actually smoking.
The boom in use means the industry is now reported to be worth around £100 million a year.
With around 300 providers of e-cigarettes supplying that demand. The UK plans to licence the cigarettes as medicines in 3 years' time. But first, the European Parliament must decide whether to reclassify them. And that debate takes place today.
So what will it mean? Is it a good or bad thing? Here in the studio to discuss it, we have stop smoking expert Dr. Peter McArath and Katherine Devlin, as well as being an e-cigarette user, represents the industry as well.
Morning.
This is quite an important time, isn't it, for the industry, with the European decision being made?
It is.
What's the significance? Can you explain it for us?
Well, the decision over how these products should be regulated is really key, because if they're reclassified as medicines, all the products that people are currently using will be gone overnight. Why? Because they couldn't qualify as medicines. They're not medicines. They couldn't be made into medicines. You'd have to break it, redesign it, change it into something else, more like the inhalator or something of that ilk.
So the industry would have to manufacture something else?
Well, the industry would be gone in that event. If they were reclassified as medicines, it would just wipe it out completely, and then it would be the big tobacco players coming in and making them as medicines, because they could afford to jump through those regulatory hoops.
Can you just explain what the difference between the current e-cigarette and a medical e-cigarette would be?
There isn't a medical e-cigarette as yet.
But
there
how
are
can
some
they
that are trying
reclassify them
to.
as medicines if you're saying that that would just eliminate them?
Well, it is actually legally invalid. I mean, this is the key point, which is why I don't think the European Parliament's going to get it wrong today. I don't think they'll do it and say that they should be medicines, because it doesn't actually work. There's a lot of case precedent out there to demonstrate why it shouldn't be, because if these were reclassified as medicines, that would have implications for coffee, and tobacco cigarettes themselves would have to be reclassified as medicines, which of course nobody wants to see. That would be preposterous.
So, Dr. McArath, I see you're listening with interest there. I mean, do you consider them a medicine? How do you see it?
Yes, I think they've got great potential, and we already have patients using them. So we don't ban them on site at the Christie, and our patients are saying that it's helping them to improve their breathing. They're less foggy. You know, if you light a cigarette 20 minutes after, your body's really struggling with the chemicals, particularly the carbon monoxide, which we see as a deadly gas that will in fact affect our treatments that we give at the Christie. So I'm very interested in seeing them regulated, because I'd like them to be available for compassionate use. You know, I think it's really important that patients have this amazing product available to them, but safely done, because I worry about contaminants, I worry about battery chargers exploding. We've already had fires in the UK related to battery chargers, so I want some regulation.
OK, what is the difference? You deal with people who smoke cigarettes and smoke too many cigarettes, and it's affecting their health. So what is the difference between smoking a cigarette and smoking an e-cigarette?
Well, a cigarette has 4,000 chemicals in it, and including arsenic, formaldehyde, all the reasons why I think you went to an e-cig, because that's what our patients are doing. They're doing that without any advice from us half the time. They're actually going out shopping for these, sometimes on a street market, and coming back with very dodgy product. I had a lady yesterday, she said, if you're on television tomorrow, tell them, I bought this dodgy product, my throat was red raw, but I've changed to a better product from one of the shops, and I now can breathe much easier, I sleep better, I tolerate my chemotherapy a lot better. So, you know, these have potential, but we need them regularly.
And with your industry role set to one side, you were a smoker.
I was 27 years.
And how many were you smoking a day?
30.
And and was that an instant thing? Were you able to stop? And
it was bizarre. I had no intention to quit whatsoever. I don't do well without nicotine. It's good stuff. It's much like everybody starting the day with their cup of coffee. You know, it's the same sort of thing. I really don't function well without nicotine. And I spent 6 days playing with my new e-cig when I got it 4.5 years ago, and after that I thought, I'll just finish that packet of cigarettes that's on the side, and I couldn't go back to smoking because it was vile having made the switch over to the e-cig instead. But on the subject of the regulation, we do have actually very good regulation from Europe already in existence. There's 17 directives that cover these products, and as long as those regulations are enforced, then you won't see exploding batteries or, you know, any of those contamination issues, because there's a requirement to test them.
Katherine, Devlin, thank you. Dr. McArath, thank you very much.